Carolina Allen, and I'm joining here with my friend Margot, and we're both members of Big Ocean Women. And it is the world's leading maternal feminist organization, and we get to advocate for women like you, women who are deeply faithful, women who care about their families, and women who are really proud and honor their motherhood. And
today we're going to talk about global affairs through the eyes of Big Ocean Women, who are trying to alert you to concerns that might be there. So tell them, you already mentioned it in a different showing about the UN and how it's organized, that type of thing. What are some of the elements of the UN that you want to make sure people are aware of? They're called SDGs or something?
Yes, so SDGs stand for Sustainable Development Goals. And the UN sets itself up in these timeline markers. And before that, it was the Millennial Development Goals. And if you haven't heard of the SDGs, it's definitely something that will be soon, you'll know exactly what it is. It's being rolled out, and countries are definitely getting on board with these 2030, what we call the 2030 agenda. So essentially, it's all of these nations. There are 163 UN member states, which means they're all countries that have bought into these sustainable development goals. And I remember a time when I actually attended the UN for the very first time. It was in 2014, and I was blown away by the lack of representation of women like me. And so I vowed in 2015 that I would come back with a large group of mothers so we could go and advocate for the things that we valued the most. And ever since then, we became an official nonprofit. And so we're trying to educate women back at home on what really is happening so that we can have a representative voice. Because a lot of times, even though we have these, countries and, these are unelected officials that go and get to represent a country. And most times, I've really rarely seen a representative that is really advocating for what a majority of the women of the world want.
And what is that?
That is, we want safety, we want protection for our families, education, and everything is done. Mothers around the world sacrifice for their children. And so every time we go and we hear these kinds of things about empowerment of women, we hear about women, gender equality, we don't ever talk about it in the family context. We don't ever talk about it from a positive lens.
The UN is not talking about that.
Yes, and so we really want to talk about the beauty of family, the beauty of what it means to be a mother, that there's so much depth beyond just, the typical words that they use, like being a care worker. That's not what encompasses being a mother, and that's not the power of the family. And these sustainable development goals, there's 17 of them, and they're very intensive. And if you go and look even farther, there's like 169 targets.
Oh my word.
And so if you look at each and every one of those goals and those measures, the family unit is never a solution to any of the world's problems. And that's couldn't be farther from the truth. I think that that's the core of what really can heal nations and what really can transform the world to be a better place.
So these SDGs, if they're not met, the UN is imposing fines, or what is happening?
Well, there's just a big race. It's the 2030 agenda. They're trying to accelerate and strengthen all of these institutions so that they can actually meet these goals. The problem is that there's a constricting force. There's additional control measures that really are going to make it hard for people back at home to live the life that they really want. And so there's a lot of education that Big Ocean Women would like to do so that you can be aware and you can be consenting or not to the way that things are headed.
Exactly. So the UN is trying to do this global impact, but we at home need to be aware, and Big Ocean Women is here to educate you, make you more aware so that you can stand up at a local level and say, this is not for us. So go to Big Ocean Women so that you can be a more informed mother and guardian for your children.